In Warframe, almost every single one of the frames in the game can do unholy levels of damage, right? We're talking level cap, either infinite scaling or just an insane number. Even someone like Oberon can destroy a Demolist target within a split second with his first ability with the right setup. And then we got frames such as Mag, who can maybe even hit damage cap with the correct setup, hitting damage numbers so high that the game can't really comprehend it. And then you've got frames who just have infinite scaling damage built into their kit. A good example would probably be Sevagoth, a frame who is currently catching on to the wider player base who can instantly wipe hordes of enemies at any level via his shadows. But there's one frame in the game who I personally believe to just be the most aggressive when it comes to applying large amounts of room-wide damage in an instant with barely any investment, mind you, and that's Kullervo. Now yes, I am using his new deluxe skin as an excuse to cover him for this video, but I want to talk quickly about the statement that I just made. Yes, there are loads of frames in the game that can hit bonkers levels of damage instantly, but to me, Kullervo feels completely different, dare I say even broken in some ways. All he really needs is a few former in him and a decent mod setup, and you have access to some of the biggest damage numbers in the game at the click of a button. And although you can subsume his arguably best ability Raffle Advance onto other Warframes, Kullervo is still the best with it because of the way he can spread that damage. From his passive, giving him massive amounts of heavy attack efficiency and of course speed with those heavy attacks. Raffle Advance for huge melee crit buffs and teleportation. Pretty large amounts of overguard gain from his second ability. Then we got to talk about Collective Curse. I'm sorry, but this skill is completely busted. Spreading a large percentage of your damage between enemies across rooms with this skill and combining it with that damage buff from Raffle Advance. To me, it feels like the most broken ability combo in the game. Just press 3, 1, 3, 1 over and over, and you can use this with either melee or sometimes you could even go with some weapons such as sniper rifles or bows. Those are a really good combo with it as well, and everything just falls over. And then for some reason he has a fourth ability. Doesn't need it, doesn't need to be there whatsoever, but it's there and it's good, and it combines excessively well with his third once again. Yeah, let's just rain daggers from the sky and do infinite amount of slash damage over and over. And it has a really underrated augment, mind you, that combines nicely with his teleportation. The point I'm getting at is I think Kullervo is just so blatantly busted with very little investment. Dare I say he's top 5 best frames in the game, and no, I don't want him nerfed, okay, and I hope this video doesn't warrant that. Not that it would, but fuck dude. He's just busted. He just is. He's so good at what this game wants. Anyways, I want to talk about a couple of builds that I've been using on him lately. The first one I actually want to talk about is using the augment for his fourth ability. It's definitely the best candidate to be subsumed off his kit because you want to keep the survivability of the overguard of his 2, and his 4 is basically just unnecessary. I think it's much better when you include its augment. Wrath of Ukko allows you to teleport your daggers to the location in which you use your Raffle Advance, as well as extend its duration, basically allowing you to recast and move it to wherever you're going. This fits much better within Kullervo's playstyle because you're going to be on the move, swinging around a melee weapon probably and casting your 3 from room to room. So having your fourth ability follow you gives you bonus amounts of enemy shredding damage and extending that duration, meaning that you're not having to recast the 4 often and waste energy. This is a really underappreciated augment and skill in general. Another thing you'll probably notice in the gameplay, I'm using the newer melee weapon, the Tomcat, which as far as I'm aware still has an issue with heavy attacks. I don't know the technicalities of this weapon's passive, I'm gonna be honest. I've watched like 3 videos on this weapon and everyone is saying that it has the same issue with its passive and the build up of heat damage and the way it interacts with heavy attacks. I think I'm just clueless, bro. Like 3 people have explained this to me and I still don't get it.
I know it's easy for your mind to wander.
You will need to get 11 heat stacks for, I think, a 12 times combo, which means you then need to reset the combo.
Okay, so I'm mid-edit of this video, and I figured I'd use the complicated strategy of just reading the fine print just a little bit slower, you know, to see if I could understand what the problem is, and I think I finally get it. The buff of the heat damage lasts 15 seconds, so once you hit max combo count, after that 15 seconds is up, you can't get the buff back, so you have to deplete your combo count via a heavy attack. So I'm pretty sure that's the issue that this passive has. Anyways, back to the video. What I do know is combining the heavy attack efficiency of Kullervo with this weapon is a go-to combination. You can run melee influence viral as well as proccing a shit ton of heat with this weapon and it absolutely fucks with Kullervo's abilities. Highly recommend you try the combo. Now before we get into the first build, I'm going to talk about my shards first because they are affecting the performance in the gameplay. I have 1 Tower Forged Amber for casting speed. This isn't even really necessary, I just seem to use this on every frame at this point because it feels really nice. And then much like my Wukong, we have 4 completely unnecessary Talforged Violet Shards for more bonus crit melee damage when my energy is over 500, which of course it means it doubles as well. And we're rocking Prime Flow on the build, so this is always active. We're just getting a shit ton of melee crit damage with these Archon shards. Not needed whatsoever, I'm just power creeping it a little. As for the Wrath of Vuko build, the one thing I want to quickly address is I think Kullervo's probably the only issue for making the use of his abilities the most is that you want a lot of strength, which often means throwing in Blind Rage, and he's kind of caster heavy, so efficiency can be an issue. I think Energize with Equilibrium is borderline a must-have if you're running Blind Rage on him. If you're not running Blind Rage and you don't really care too much about the strength and you want to run Transient, then you can get rid of Energize and you can lower the amount that this build needs. But I'm combining Equilibrium with my Sentinel as well to proc those health orbs even more via its mods. Because I'm spam casting a lot in this build, even though we're using Wrath of Vuko, we don't have to cast a 4 like ever if you just mash your 1 like every hallway that you go. We're of course pumping it full of range. We can't fit in Augur Reach in here. You could maybe forego Precision Intensify, but I like having Precision Intensify in here so we can make more use of Wrath of Vuko. Prime Continuity for more duration, Closer Projection to reduce enemies' armor a bit, and right now I think this is my favourite Kullervo build. That's mainly due to its augment. Wrath of Vuko is a really nice playstyle switch up. I know his 4th ability isn't the most useful thing in the world because his other 3 skills are already so good on their own, but including it in the kit is much better done with Wrath of Vuko. As for my pretty much low investment Tonkat build, I mean, I got 2 form in here and I still haven't bothered to throw in an Exilus mod up here. Like I said, Tenekai is apparently just not a thing on this weapon. But of course, you can build up heat damage via your combo multiplier, and I guess you have to heavy attack or something. Knowing my luck, this is probably going to get fixed at some point, and me yapping about its issue isn't even going to matter. But if you're using this on Kullervo anyway with that heavy attack efficiency, of course it's not going to be an issue, because you're barely depleting your combo each time you heavy attack. This weapon is borderline perfect for him. I'm using the stereotypical melee influence viral with the electricity and the heat, crit status setup, but this weapon's great, and I honestly really enjoy it with Kullervo. You should definitely give it a try. Okay, for the second build of the video, we're being boring, and we're going full melee with Nourish. But hear me out, the main reason we're using Nourish is so I can actually just be super lenient in the way that I mob my melee weapon. There's 2 melees I like combining with this setup. One of them is leaning more heavily into the fact that we can put viral on it via Nourish, whilst the other one it doesn't really matter as much. Either way, this is my purely melee focused setup, which is honestly, now I'm saying out loud, this is fucking stupid. Because I just used the Tonkat for like majority of that survival in that other footage for that build. But this one is of course not using Kullervo's ultimate. We're purely focused on big damage numbers with Collective Curse and Wrathful Advance. But it's 2 melee weapons I've really been enjoying with this combo. The first one being the Incarnate Anku, which is a weapon I haven't used too much as of late. A lot of the scythes in this game are insane, right? I feel like there's not even a bad one. And the Anku was sort of like becoming meta for a while with its Incarnate form, and then it just sort of fell off and got forgotten about, probably because of the harmony being introduced. But this thing is still insane. In case you don't know, the Incarnate form allows you to hit a slide attack and gain basically a slash damage proc bonus for the next 6 seconds, meaning that every single attack you do over those 6 seconds will proc slash guaranteed. And of course the stat bonuses you get from the Incarnate are also incredible. I prefer going with the status bonus option, and it's just a very fast weapon. And my main reason for using this with Kullervo was the fact that it thematically looks correct. Throwing a scythe on that edgy boy with the new skin, it just works. The other weapon I want to talk about is something which, listen, I still don't like this weapon, okay? I was hating on it big time whenever we covered all of the new Coda weapons in those 2 videos with the tier lists. A Coda Motivore is still a dumbass weapon, okay? And just because it's good with Wrathful Advance and Kullervo doesn't make it some sort of god killer, right? I get it, it hits big funny numbers when you're combining it with Wrathful Advance, but fucking everything does that with Wrathful Advance, let's not kid ourselves here. A Coda Motivore is very fun with this setup, but just a reminder, a lot of melee influence combo weapons, Incarnans, it's just so many melee weapons completely outclass this thing just on pure performance, even though they may not hit the same funny big red number as it. I know that's not really saying much because influence is influence, and you know, it kind of just really sums up how much of an issue that Arcane is. People love the Motivore because it is utterly hilarious, big funny numbers, you gotta love it, and it does work with this build. What we're doing with it is pumping it full of puncture damage so we can hit the absolute maximum amount of crit via melee Dufty, or you know, the arcane that no one can pronounce. We're building up that status via Weeping Wounds. I think I've seen this thing via the melee Dufty arcane hit like 20 times bonus crit in the top right. So yeah, you can run around heavy attack things with the Coda Motivore on this build and you will hit hilarious numbers with it. It's very satisfying, and hey, Just because I was hating on it a little bit when it first came out, and I think it is very niche, this game is all about having fun. You should absolutely give this a go if you want to try something new, see some funny numbers, not really using the most optimal melee build. Absolutely give this a shot. Kullervo is the perfect frame to combine it with, and it's really satisfying. And as for the Kullervo build, what's really nice about the setup is that we don't have to run Energize this time because Nourish is covering for that energy cost, and we can pump it full of more range with Augur Reach because we're not using the augment for his 4. And of course, the melee focused reason for choosing Arcane Strike is for that Motivore build, because on the Anku we don't need that attack speed, but on the Motivore we do because we weren't running any attack speed on it, so Strike is here to compensate for that reason. But yeah, this is a pretty bog standard overall build for Kullervo and works really well with Nourish. The main mod that I've included on my Nautilus Sentinel when running this setup is Synth Deconstruct, so that way I can increase the amount of orbs that make use of equilibrium. This is really going to help with your overall sustainability because, like I said, with no efficiency on Kullervo, you are using a lot of energy. And the Nautilus is just overall great for grouping on him. Not overly necessary. A Panzervolk Profiler to spread viral could also be nice and allow you to mod your melee weapons for something else. But then again, you'd probably be doubling up if you're using the Nourish build. Like I said, Kullervo is broken. You don't really need to invest super hard into him. You don't need shards. You don't need some godlike companion. You don't need a specific focus school. Just throw a few Former into him. You can use his base kit, get a decent melee weapon, and just start going to town. And then boom, all of a sudden you have one of the best and most destructive frames in the game at the click of a button. And as of right now, the only frame that I can honestly think of that kind of compares playstyle wise to what Kullervo does is ironically Saito 9. I just get the same vibe from both of these frames. Honestly, it's kind of a sick duo when you think about it. One of them is really focused on the gunplay aspect of nuking rooms, whilst the other is more melee oriented. Cross-map wallbangs with ricocheting sniper bullets for millions of damage, and Kullervo is of course chaining his huge melee crit buffs across the room. Saito 9 and Kullervo, bro, I swear down these frames are completely busted. But DE, don't you dare bat an eye, okay? I don't want to see any nerfs. I'm having too much fun. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know how you guys run your Kullervo. If you did enjoy, don't forget to like and sub. If not, then no worries. Be sure to check out my previous Yoreli video that just dropped for a Prime. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.